Alright, welcome to the crew compartment. Let's take a look. So we have our sun visors down and the shade is up, so I think there's probably a big old click spot. Hey, there you go. We got that put away. Slide that up. There we go. Let's do the same thing with the other one. Get those out of the way. Why don't we just click up? Hey, there you go. And first impressions. That looks mighty good. Pretty darn good. The seats are never ever this pristine and clean. That would be beautiful if they were, but this looks very good. Overhead panel looks okay. Pretty good, pretty good. The switches normally are more silver color, but they're not all the same. So the specific aircraft this one's modeled after might have a slightly different variant of the switches, but that looks good. And then again, forgive me, I actually don't even know how to change my viewpoint to look in the back. So we will save that for another video. Perhaps one of my viewers can let me know in the comments. You guys are always very helpful with tips and things for how to navigate the sim here, because I'm just not in here too often. But anyway, let's see if we can do some first impressions of the cockpit here. So I always like to position my seat to where I can see just a little bit down the cowling here. I want to see a little bit of cowling when I'm seated looking out front there. And then in the real airplane, what we want to do is line up our white ball indicator here with the blue ball behind it. And the co-pilot can actually do the same from his side. That way we have a common viewpoint looking out the airplane. So if we're flying two pilot and we're conducting an instrument approach in low weather and we're expecting a breakout right at minimums, if I'm the pilot flying, will be looking at my gauges down here and not even concerning myself with looking outside for the approach lighting system. The co-pilot's job is to look outside. So when he sees the lights, he can call approach lights in sight 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock if we have a bunch of wind correction angle in. And I'll know exactly where to look because we have the same viewpoint set up with reference to this alignment indicator here. So they have it set to where it's already lined up. So that looks good. And in the real airplane, hey, look at this. I would adjust my rudder pedals, so that's pretty cool. We can do that in here. Go ahead and take the control lock off. And I wonder if I can hide the yoke. I can. Cool. So I usually like my pedals pretty much all the way forward. Put the yoke back up. The yoke itself looks absolutely perfect. Even got some paint worn off right there. That looks really good with your road map right here, just like in the real airplane. I'll hide that for now. So one of the first things I do when I get in the airplane is test the EPS. So when I press this down to test, this battery test light is supposed to illuminate this green light here. Hey, there it goes. Cool. So we would hold that down for 5 seconds, and normally that would come on right away. And we would hold that down for 5 seconds and make sure that green light was illuminated the entire time. And then we would switch it up to armed, and the amber light would illuminate just like that. And then our peanut right here would come alive, which it is. Very cool. Looks like they got that pretty well right. In the real airplane, if I held this switch down to test and that light didn't come on right away, that could indicate we have a problem. But pretty close in here. I would turn on my oxygen next. Very cool. We even have the sound. That sounds exactly like it does in the real airplane. And let's look over here at the breakers too. And I heard the breakers are actually clickable. Very cool. You can pop breakers in this thing, reset them. We'll put our little EFB up on the window. So I'll come over here and check my supplemental oxygen level. And that's good. Looks like we're topped off. And our passenger oxygen switch back here, I would set to auto, which is right there in the middle. So we'll set that. Come over here, make sure our mic switch is on mic and not mask. That's good. Looks like you can actually switch it in this airplane too, which is cool, in this model. And oh, cool. You can move the gooseneck. This is a little map light we use at night, and it's cool that you can actually move it around in here. Call that the gooseneck. Parking brake is set. Our Hobbs meter down here, we only have 0.3 hours, 0.3 of an hour on this brand new airplane. Very cool. Vent looks good. Very nice. Cool that they have that modeled. Let's see, what else? Airspeed indicator looks perfect. Flap indicator looks pretty darn good. RMI looks perfect. Peanut looks great. Everything looks really nice in here, guys. They did a good job. Let's see what else. Just want to kind of look over everything for a second here, and then we'll get back to actually prepping things. So down here we have the manual gear extension pump and our fuel and ECS firewall shutoffs. Those look good. Yeah, this all looks good. Very nice. I feel right at home. So why don't we turn the batteries on? We have the 2 battery here, so we'll turn bat 1 and bat 2 on. First thing we always do is check our voltage. So we want to be well north of 24 volts. We have 25.4 on each battery, so that's good. And I'll turn our nav lights on. And you saw the amperage jumped up a little bit there, so we're discharging now 17 amps each battery. Not quite accurate, but I'm glad they're at least trying. So we'll let that slide. A for effort on the electrical systems are hard to model. So then I would switch my inverter over. And let's see, let's check our fuel pumps. That sound is perfect. And we should have an annunciator. Yep, left fuel pump. Try the right. Oh, the sounds are even different. I love that. That is so good. Yep, we got our annunciator. Perfect. Very, very accurate there. Ignition's in auto. And let's see. Turn on our standby bus. Come over here, open up our separator. Turn on the passenger signs. Everything else should be off for now. ECS should be off. It is. I could set my pressurization for... Ooh, this is backwards. That's kind of a big deal. Yeah, this is not accurate here. This is actually backwards. So, but I'm sure it works the same way in the sim here. So we would set this for, let's say I was going up to flight level 230. I would set this for 235. Right about there. And our cabin rate knob is normally, we want that in the 12 o'clock position, about where it is, so that looks good. And our EIS, our engine instrument system right here, looks very good. So let's test this. Check our 8s and tapes. Those look perfect. Wow, this is great. I'm very impressed so far. This is a good simulation for sure. So as soon as that resets, or the test completes, I should say, I would hold down fuel reset here for a few seconds, and I would get a new fuel quantity number that would pop up right here. And there you go. 1,347 pounds, and we are balanced. For takeoff, you have to be within 3 LCD segments of each other on the tank, so that looks good. Initialize our 530 up here. Our transponder would probably come on in the real airplane. Excuse me. So they don't have that on the standby bus, but anyway, no biggie. We'll reset these guys. Turn on COM2 here, and let's do a lamp check. Everything lights up. That looks perfect. Master caution in morning, and look at this beautiful cause they've made for us. That is excellent. Bravo. Bravo, SimWorks. That looks great. And we can do our fire warning check. So we should have our engine fire and fire detect lights illuminate with the master caution and warning. That looks good. Let's see, turn that back off. And the roll airplane you would just press and hold. Those aren't toggles, they're just press and hold. But I like that they designed the sim this way so that you can actually press it, then go look and not have to worry about trying to hold it down. So yeah, so far, very impressed. This looks good. Let's see. Our trim indicators look good. Let me bring my yoke back up. And I would want my recog on pulse since it's daytime. Gear indicator lights look perfect. Very cool. So why don't we go ahead and start the engine here, and we'll see how that does. So again, we're still sitting at well north of 24 volts. I'm going to turn the beacon on. We'll clear the area around the prop there. Parking brake is set, hopefully primed. And let's go ahead and start the engine. So I would have to hold the starter down for 2 seconds in the real airplane to get the starter to actually engage. Okay, this is not accurate. So right now I would be a little concerned I didn't have oil pressure a little sooner than that. So I'm just going to let this motor for a second. We want between 13 and 18%. It can be a little higher on the NG. ITT nice and low, good oil pressure. And we'll introduce fuel to ground idle. And our fuel flow, this is way too high. This should be closer to 80 to 100 pounds per hour, so I'd be concerned if I saw that. Do have a good light off there. ITT came up, NG's rising. The ITT would normally roll back a little bit and then come up again. Starter disconnected at 50% NG, so that looked accurate. We have some torque developing, props already at 1000 RPM. Oil pressure's now in the green, oil temperature's coming up, and our gens are both at 28 plus volts. Overall not bad. But like I said, that oil pressure needed to come alive a little sooner, unless it's super cold outside, which I don't have it set like that here in the sim. We're at plus 15. That would not be normal behavior to see the oil pressure not rising like that. So anyway, not too big of a deal. The rest of it looked pretty darn good. That fuel flow is too high. That would normally be at around 80 pounds per hour, maybe 100 depending on the elevation that you're starting at. So overall, not too bad. Let's turn our generators on. Gen 2 first, wait a second so we don't open up the breaker, and then Gen 1, avionics buses 1 and 2 on, standby bus off, and then we'll turn on our cooling system. And since we're at, whoops, I did not mean to click that. Since we're at plus 15 today, we definitely do not need the VCCS, so we'll go to recirc, vent only, fans on high. Very good. And now that we're synced up on 28 volts, we will reset the fuel totalizer one more time. So I'm going to hold that down. Looks like it did reset. That's very cool. That's modeled very well. So we're at 1,340 pounds. Reset our master caution. And we'll turn the ACS on. Flaps to 15. And I would just adjust my temperature today since it's neither hot nor cold really. We'll just put it about 12 o'clock. Let's see if we can turn a transponder on now. There she goes. Very cool. So now I would do my autopilot test, which does not seem to be modeled. So that's a bummer. You do not ever want to use an autopilot without testing it first on the ground. So a little bit of a bummer to not be able to hit that test button, but that is okay. And then we would come up here and do our pusher test. So the first thing we have to do to perform the pusher test is not only make sure the flaps are set to 15, which they are, but we have to actually increase the PCL to clear a micro switch. Otherwise the pusher test will not engage. So I'm going to bring that up a scotch. Cool. And then you can actually bring it back to idle. Press our interrupt. That looks good. In the rail airplane, the sequence of this is you release that and then the button. And normally this would clear. So it looks like the sequence of events here might not be modeled correctly in the sim. So why don't we try that one more time. Let's see how they want us to do it in here. So the PCL comes up, we push the button, throttle back to idle, and then normally this would start to push. I would hit this to interrupt and then bring the yoke aft. Now it's cleared. And then I would release the button. So it seemed to work that time, but I did the same thing. So I'm not exactly sure what kind of logic they have that programmed for, but didn't work the first time, but it seems to have worked this time, so we'll take it. So the only cause message we have now is a caution for AOA de-ice because we have our probes off. And that is okay for now. I'm going to switch my EHSI over to GPS, sync up my heading bug for now. We'll set our initial altitude. We'll just put 3,000 in there and the altitude alerter for now. And here's a big item that I hope they got right. We would always initialize our flight director. We always want a flight director displayed before takeoff. And we do that by pressing this go around button right here. So when I press this button, we should see the flight director display. and it should command a go around pitch of about 10 degrees positive pitch. So let's press it. Oh, nope, that's a miss. Well, at least the flight director popped up. It's in roll mode with no vertical mode, no pitch mode, so that is not accurate. So what we'll have to do is just hit heading mode. We don't really want it in roll mode. So now we're in heading mode, and then we can just dial in a vertical speed. Whoops, we don't want 3,000 feet per minute. Let's do about 1,600 feet per minute on the vertical speed. What is this thing doing? Okay. I think I must have screwed up the click spots there. So we want 3,000 feet set, and then I think if I... There we go. We have our vertical speed set to 1,600 feet per minute. So that is modeled correctly. When you pull the knob out, vertical speed is displayed, and you can select your rate, and then when you push the knob in, it'll go back to your altitude pre-selected. So that is modeled correctly. That looks good. We would not want to pitch up to 16 degrees. That's not a safe thing to do. That's a departure stall, potentially. The airplane will do it, but we wouldn't want to scare the passengers now, would we? Let's see, if we come over here, I'm just going to turn off our ADF if it'll allow us to do that. We don't need to use that. And very cool, this looks good. I do not like this prop animation at all. This is not realistic even whatsoever. You cannot see the prop turning in the real airplane even when you're at idle, even ground idle. It's moving pretty fast, you can't see it. So that's a little distracting, but no big deal. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I love the manuals over here. We got breakers over here. The armrests work. Great. Very cool. Everything looks really nice. Pretty much perfect, honestly. Pretty much perfect. Overall, maybe an A-. Very good. A couple of little inaccuracies here and there, but I'm happy with it. So great work to SimWorks Studios. So I'm going to have to end it here, guys, because I do not have my yoke or pedals with me. They are in another state. So I can't actually taxi the airplane and then take off yet. Hopefully soon. So I will make additional parts to the series here. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy your flying this beautiful new PC-12 here. Great job by SimWorks, and I will see you for more fun in this airplane soon.